You know, not everybody likes surprises, but sometimes something completely unexpected can be good. That's today on First Century Foundations. Today on the show, we're back in the Negev wilderness with Arthur DuMosch. And Arthur is taking us to a beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert. It's absolutely amazing to be driving along through seeming nothingness and come over a hill and around a corner and just see incredible greenery and beauty in front of you. I know that you're going to enjoy this episode as we continue to explore the Negev together. And then later in the show, we're actually going to talk about a wilderness of another kind. The city of Tel Aviv is an extremely secular and godless place, really a wilderness of sin in many ways. But there is a ministry there who are doing an incredible work in reaching out to the people who are all around them there in that seeming concrete jungle. It's like a coffee oasis in the middle of the wilderness of Tel Aviv. Don't go away. That'll be next on First Century Foundations.
Coming up, Jeff explores more of the Negev wilderness with Arthur DuMosch. Exciting things are happening in the land of Israel. Because of the prayers and financial gifts of people like you, First Century Foundations has been able to support a number of ministries throughout the Holy Land, feeding the poor, looking after the sick, and bringing hope to those in need is the everyday reality for these believers in Israel. And this would be an impossible task without your support. This practical approach of feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, and visiting the sick is making a real difference in many lives throughout the land and is changing hearts. Yet while we are seeing many amazing miracles and successes, the needs are always increasing. Call or write today and become a monthly partner for just $30 a month or more. And when you call, be sure to ask for the free Israel Prayer Watch, so you will be up to date on all that is happening with the ministries that you are supporting. Call today. We're waiting to hear from you.
Watch your step. It's way down here.
It sure is.
So what we see here at the outskirts of the town of Mitzpe Ramon, which means the viewpoint over the Ramon, which we see in here, this big gap through here, which is a machtesh, or if you want to translate it into English, a mortar valley. Like a mortar, you grind up peppercorns.
Oh, okay, yep.
There's a number of those. These are unique to this area. There's only 7 of them in the world, and this is the biggest one, Ramon. Possibly it means ram, like an American. The ram which was being lifted up on the altar by Abraham.
Oh, okay.
And being sacrificed instead of Isaac.
Yes.
And On is another word for the Almighty. So you have Hebron, where you were,
right.
Hebron, and Mitzpe Ramon, Hermon, and so on.
Right.
And this is then the Ramon.
And so on. I see what
and
you did
so
there.
On.
Yes, I see what you did there. That's good.
Play of words. So if we go along this edge, way there to the highest peaks, which is about 1,037 meters above sea level,
right.
Then you continue, and then you get to down the Negev, and you get to the plain where there is Kadesh Barnea. And so the spies, as it's written in the Bible, they went up into the Negev. Physically, but as well spiritually, as a free people.
Right.
And they were going to spy out the land and bring back the report, and then would be able to go into the land. But because they were listening too much to CBS, what is it? Your national
CBC in Canada.
CBC.
Yeah.
They were listening to all the crap there. So they didn't believe God's word, I will bring you in.
Yeah.
So they had to go around, and they went around this Makdesh, and somewhere over there they came into it, near the Oasis.
So behind the mountain range?
Behind the mountain range, right?
Okay.
That's the easy way. There's a lot of water there too. Then to the Oasis, and then cut towards the north, towards the wilderness of Zin, which we'll be seeing later this afternoon.
Okay.
And so amazing to see the border of the front of the land of Israel. Milk and honey here. Okay, it's cold, no bees flying around at the moment. But yes, and the milk of course is the goat milk.
Right.
Down here there is not enough dew and not enough rain. 50 mils instead of 90 mils here. 150 mils on dew,
Right.
and here 250. It's immense difference.
Big difference, yeah.
And here you still can go with your flock. We have seen the Bedouin on the way. Where you see Bedouin, even if they have now townships, that is the places where then before people would come with their flocks of goats and sheep too.
Right.
So that's the border, and it's a physical border. You don't have to ask anyhow, where's the border around here? A few meters here. It's clearly this cliff. It goes down 200 meters till the bottom, even 350 meters, where you see the riverbed, which drains out the entire basin.
Okay.
And so beyond that is the area as well where Ishmael was. He went to the Paran, and was there a hunter. And that section is now part of Israel because two Davids, interesting, David the king said, I want more. I want the harbor of Etzion Gaber,
Okay.
which we call nowadays Eilat,
Right.
which is the heathen name. And then I want that harbor in the south. And when you read the description of the land, it stops here. But the second description you hear, and the sea in the south. So God has added, Yosef, God has added.
Okay.
Losif is to add, and Yo is short for Jehovah, or what we are not supposed to say, but that is what it is. Like Joseph in Egypt.
Yeah. And there's so much in the words of the Bible that carry way more meaning than we're used to understanding most of the time, aren't there?
It is.
Yeah, and this is just incredible. So the cliff itself was the demarcation initially in the measurements of the land, and then you're saying that King David wanted the harbor in the south, and so now all the way to Eilat, and David Ben Gurion said he wanted the same. That's amazing.
It is.
Absolutely incredible.
And then when Solomon died and the kingdom was split, the tribes in the south, the nomads, said, we are going to be independent again. And then the border became here again.
Okay.
And then when Babylon came, and when some of them came back, then the border became Beersheba, the southern border.
Okay.
And then you read in the Bible from Dan till Beersheba.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All this moving on.
Moving parts.
Complex eye.
Well, this is amazing. Amazing. All right. Well, I guess we have more to see today.
Yep. Let's go down into the hole.
Okay.
Holy land.
All right. Let's do that. This is incredible. Amazing.
Okay, Jeff. Let's have a look at this wonderful oasis here.
Sounds good. It's here in the middle of nowhere.
Nothing.
Middle of nothing. It's amazing. Now, Arthur, this, to put it all in context for us, this is the wilderness that the children of Israel spent so much time wandering through to get to the Promised Land, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So help us with some of the journey, and I mean, probably this is an oasis where they would have
Most likely.
stopped. Yeah.
Most likely, Jeff. You know what? We came from the west,
Right.
from the land of milk and honey, went into this valley of the Zin, the
Yep.
wilderness of Zin, and here, that block more or less, is the border of the land connecting to there, a little further back as we came.
Right.
So this is already where they would have walked around.
Incredible.
So most likely this is an oasis where they would have stopped. And you can imagine hundreds of thousands of people walking around here. It must have been a sight.
It must have been something else.
And unruly, that yes.
Yeah, so help me again with the geography. You said we came from the west,
That's right.
and then, so then if that's east, sorry, I'm gonna have to work this out.
This is east roughly.
This is east.
Uh-huh.
This is east, so south is behind me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they would have come from the south,
From the south, from Mitzpe Ramon, where we were before.
right?
Right.
Working their way.
And then working their way around here.
Incredible.
And this would be their first oasis, or second, at the most the first, at the most the second, and at the least the first to come and be here.
Yeah.
And because they are date trees, God provides, as it always says. So, assuming, that is my assumption, that He led them here just when the dates would be ready, ripe.
Okay.
That would make sense in my opinion, but then again, I'm not God.
Right. Well,
So-
sometimes we have to take our liberty a little bit with the story so
That's
that we
right.
can picture what happened, right?
That's
And
right.
that's really what you're doing there.
Yes. So here we are in this wonderful oasis. You can
Yeah.
imagine just how the children of Israel were roaming around this area, haven't seen for maybe days in a row, maybe even weeks,
Yeah.
an oasis or something like that. And here they come over that mountain range like we did before and see this spectacle.
So it would be incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
This
it really
must
would
be
be
a
incredible.
mirage, they must have thought so,
Yeah.
or Fata Morgana if they knew that word.
Okay.
And
Which means?
Which means it seems shimmering, and you see something in the distance,
Right.
which is hundreds of miles away sometimes, and you see it here because of the reflection of on the soil.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a place like
Amazing.
this, they would really frolic. They really would make their heart jump and say, here we got food, we got water. And Moses didn't have to quarrel anymore with people and get upset and cross and hit the rock instead of talking to the rock.
Yes, exactly.
And
Amazing.
amazing.
Well, Arthur, thank you so much. We have had a full day today, and I just appreciate so much you sharing all of your incredible knowledge of this wilderness, the desert with us. It's been fantastic. And you know, I was thinking about people watching at home, and when you think about wandering in the desert, wandering in the wilderness, what does that mean to you? You know, many of us spend a lot of time wandering, either wandering in sin away from God. It's kind of interesting that this is called the wilderness of sin, Z-I-N, but there seems to be that correlation with the word sin.
Yes.
And I think that we wander that way. Sometimes we wander just because, not because there's anything wrong spiritually, but because we're going through a really dry place in our lives and in our experiences. But just like this oasis that is behind us, these beautiful green trees and this amazing lush greenery in the middle of the desert, I want you to know that God has a provision for you, and that whenever that moment comes, you will come over the edge of the mountain and you're going to see that God has been working behind the scenes, and that He's ready to refresh you and provide for you and come through for you. And I believe that today for anyone who's watching. This has been so amazing for us to be together, and we are so glad that you joined us today. But don't go away. We'll be back right after this.
Up next, Jeff visits the Ha Ogen Cafe in Tel Aviv. First Century Foundations is committed to helping those in need in the land of Israel. And this is possible because of people like you. Your donations are helping the Jerusalem Institute of Justice, who provide for some of the most vulnerable in the land. One such group are the aging Holocaust survivors, spending time through activities and caring for their needs for food and medication. The Jerusalem Institute of Justice and First Century Foundations are making a real difference in the lives of people who have experienced so much.
People like us who lost everything and live with the pain, to have people that help us a little bit. We're very grateful.
Call or write today and receive the free Israel Prayer Watch to keep up to date with all that is happening with these ministries in Israel, and become a partner for just $30 a month or more. Your gifts make a difference. Call today.
Hey, we are here today in the heart of Tel Aviv, and I'm with Nati. Nati, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Hey, it's our pleasure. And in a previous episode, we had actually spoken with Avi Mizrahi of Dugit about the VIP prayer tower, the distribution center that they run, and the outreaches that are done through those ministries. And today we're talking about another focus of Dugit, and this is kind of exciting. It's new, it's really fresh, and you guys are doing something really amazing here. So talk to me about what's behind us and kind of the vision for the place.
Well, behind us is a coffee bar,
Okay.
specialty coffee bar, in fact. Started maybe in the last month. It's been up and running, and the vision behind it is to create a place, an atmosphere for people to come in and discuss things, specifically the gospel. And
Cool.
so we just wanted to create a place for that to happen. Coffee is the best means to bring together people in Israel. People love coffee and they drink it at all times of the day.
I do too.
And so
Yeah.
that's why we, that was the initial vision behind the place.
That's fantastic. Now, you have a pretty significant, or specific, I should say, target market, I would think. You're looking at what group of people here?
Well, Tel Aviv is mainly comprised of the younger demographic.
Yeah,
so,
very young here.
So we would say between 25 to 40 years old. This is the main population of downtown Tel Aviv. So those are the people that we're actually looking to hit, to reach.
That's fantastic. I love the fact that you're being very intentional about reaching the market that's around you and the people that would tend to be in this part of the neighborhood and looking for a coffee shop. Now, Nati, you guys did some outreach before with a cafe concept, but this really is a bit of a reboot. You're doing something totally new this time. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Right, so what we had before was where you would come in, we would invite you off from the street, and we'd say, come in for a free cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. And it was just very general. We got some hits, and but we also saw that there was a lot of people that were very hesitant, not because of so much what we believe, but a lot of it was because of, why in the world are you offering me a free cup of coffee? What's in it for you? And it must be like a really bad cup of coffee that you're giving it away for free. And so there was a lot of hesitation to come in just on that level.
Right.
So we've kind of taken back that hesitation, and we've said, okay, we're charging for a cup of coffee. We're not only going to make it just any cup of coffee, it's going to be a very high standard. The standards here are also very high in the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. And also to become a part of the community. You know, we want to become a part of the business community here in Tel Aviv, something that is known for the high standard of coffee, the high standard of service that we're giving, and to be known as, okay, this is a messianic center, this is a messianic coffee shop run by messianic Jews that are part of our community, they're part of our society, and okay, I'd like to know more about them. Yeah. And so this is kind of getting more into the business world, doing more outreach also in the business world, and also in the world of, like I talked to you before about the demographic, which is 25 to 40, which there are also a lot of startups. And so those are the kind of people that are going to be looking to come in for an upscale cup of coffee.
Fantastic. So I like that. I like that it's a legit business opportunity, and that you're creating presence here in your neighborhood, relationships with the business community, but also with your clientele. Exactly. And they're coming in for something that is top notch. They're not just getting a cup of drip coffee. Yeah. This is the real deal. And I think with the demographic that you're targeting, that's critical, and it's very important. Now, we know that the gospel, there's sort of lots that happens in an interchange. Tell me a story, or maybe a couple stories about how the gospel has connected with people through the type of outreach that you're doing.
So Our goal and vision is also to have here live shows in the evenings, which would attract the same demographic. They want to just chill in the evenings, listen to some music that would be maybe some low-key music, and drink a cup of tea or coffee and whatnot, and just be able to hang out together. In the past, we've had also these events and also events on the street, bringing in people for these live events.
Right.
And during these live events, conversations are struck up. Hey, so you guys believe in Yeshua? You believe in Jesus? Like, how does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
And in the past, in fact, we had a couple of Arabic guys that they came in. They just heard the music from the street. They came in off the street and they were like, "What's going on here?" And we're like, "We're Messianic Jews. We believe in Yeshua as the Messiah. And would you like to hear more about it? Come in, have a cup of coffee." And they did. And by the night's end, not only had they heard the gospel, but they also prayed to receive Yeshua and walked away with a New Testament,
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's just one example. Even though that's from the Arabic community, that happened also with a younger guy. He walked in and he was like, what's going on here? It was actually not during a live session. He just walked in and he's like, "Hey, you guys have some books. Like, what are you guys all about?" And so, again, we developed a relationship. He came back and, after a few times, and after a few times, he's like, "You know what? I'd like to know more." And again, he accepted Yeshua, gave his life, and was even baptized here on the seashore.
Very cool. That's awesome. You know what? That to me is one of the most exciting things that we can share with our viewers back home. And you think about a coffee shop, and maybe you're thinking, why should I help with that? These guys, they'll make their money on their coffee. And what are some of the prayer requests that people can pray about, and maybe some of the needs that you have?
If we're going to go for prayer requests, there's a big stronghold. We're talking about, the enemy comes against you in so many different ways here, whether it's getting permission from the city, whether it's getting permission even from the building itself, just grace with man, grace with the community. That's really probably one of the biggest prayer requests, and that God would start to open the eyes of the people, because unless their eyes are opened, it doesn't matter how much coffee you give them. It doesn't matter how much you preach in their face. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them that Yeshua is Lord. Unless their eyes are open, unless the blinders are removed from their eyes, they will not see. So I think that's probably the greatest prayer request, because once that is removed, the gospel is going to go forth from here on out and to all Israel.
Amazing. Nati, thank you for sharing with us. And you maybe never thought that you'd be able to reach someone with the gospel through a cup of coffee. But here in the heart of Tel Aviv, that is not only possible, but we believe it's going to happen. And so thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your ongoing financial support of First Century Foundations. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of First Century Foundations with Jeff Futers. This season is packed with amazing visits with people and places rarely shown on television. And now, for the first time, First Century Foundations is releasing extended cuts from the series with previously unseen footage. In this first DVD of extended cuts, you can now see Jeff's entire visit with Dr. Garth Gilmore to the ancient site of Tel Hazor. This incredible site sheds new light on the conquests of the Israelites as they entered the Promised Land under Joshua. You will also see the full edit of Jeff and desert tour guide Arthur DuMosch as they explore the Negev desert and the abundant plant life that helps to further illustrate the biblical account of the Israelites and just how amazing God is. Call or write today to order your copy of this first Extended Cuts DVD for a gift of $20 or more plus shipping and handling. And be sure to keep watching First Century Foundations.
One of the things I've really loved about what Arthur has done as he has toured us through the Negev wilderness is all of the connections that he has helped us to make back to the spiritual, to understand that God has been at work either with the children of Israel in the wilderness, but also that he's at work in our lives as well. We talked about that Oasis experience, about coming over a hill and around a corner and just seeing amazing beauty in front of us. Those are the kind of unexpected surprises that can really help to seed faith and to seed encouragement into our lives. The prophet Isaiah talks a little bit about this, and I want to read to you just quickly from a passage from his book. So Isaiah chapter 43 begins at verse 18, and you may have heard this verse before. It says, "Forget the former things and do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. The wild animals honor me, the jackals and the owls, because I provide water in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland, to give drink to my people, my chosen, the people I formed for myself, that they may proclaim my praise." That's an incredible verse that reminds us about God being at work, and that he's at work on our behalf. He's at work for our good, for the good of his people. You know, the wilderness teaches us many things. It teaches us patience. It teaches us discipline. It teaches us to struggle through the elements. But it also teaches us that if we have faith and if we believe that God will be there for us when we need him. That's really the lesson and the story of the children of Israel and their wandering in the wilderness time. It took them a lot longer than it should have, but God had an end in mind. He had not only a chosen people, but a place, a promised land that they were going to. And so I hope that that helps to encourage any of us who might be going through those wilderness experiences that we talked about earlier. God's got this, and you need to rest in that. Then later in Tel Aviv, we learned about Ha Ogen, this amazing coffee shop, third wave coffee. I don't even really fully know what third wave coffee is all about. When I get a cup of coffee, I grind my beans and I put them in the drip percolator, and I make a good cup of coffee, I think. These guys are dealing with different sort of chemical reactions and hot water and steam, and I don't really even fully understand it, but they're reaching a target market of people, not just with a cup of coffee. They are also engaging in relationship with them. They're wanting to talk to them about what their lives are like and who they are and what are their needs, so that they can share with them the love of Yeshua and the gospel that Jesus came to die for them so that they could know him. I think it's an amazing way, especially with the younger generation, to be able to reach out and to impact the lives of people in the city of Tel Aviv. We talked about that being a wilderness of sorts, and really we can easily make that connection. So when you give to First Century Foundations, when you pray for ministries here in Israel, that's the kind of ministry that you're helping us to engage with. And I think this is one of those cutting edge ways that young people in Israel are reaching out to other young people, to a demographic that until now has not been being reached. And it's amazing to be able to see that happen. Thank you. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your financial support. Thank you for blessing Israel. God bless you. We'll see you next time on First Century Foundations.
Thank you for watching. To learn more about this program and the ministries in Israel that we help, or to receive the Israel Prayer Watch, call the number on the screen or visit us online at firstcenturyfoundations.com. And to keep up to date on all that we're doing, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Join Jeff Futers again in Israel next week on First Century Foundations.